The film begins with Hazel and her two friends, Connie and Amy, rushing to the train station to catch the train to Barcelona, and they manage to catch it and board. They sit in the seats, and we learn that they are on a trip through Europe together, moving from city to city on a set budget. Then, on the train, the moment comes when Amy looks admiringly at a young man among the passengers, gets up, goes after him, talks to him, and leaves Hazel with Connie. After a while, a passenger comes and is surprised to find him climbing up to the luggage racks to sleep there. Later that night, this young man looks at Hazel and tells her he didn't come to sleep because sleeping on the luggage racks isn't comfortable, and asks if she can lend him a blanket. Hazel tells him she was thinking about a novel she was reading, and they exchange pleasant conversation. He introduces himself as Jack, that he's from New Zealand, wishes her a good night, and tries to sleep. The next day, they arrive by train in Barcelona, and Jack is with them as they get off the train and head towards the station exit. Jack learns they are meeting up that night at a nightclub, so he agrees to meet them there. They say goodbye and part ways. After that, Hazel and her two friends go to visit Barcelona's landmarks, and at night they go to the nightclub. Jack arrives with his friend Rafe and greets them. Connie goes to dance with Rafe, and Amy sees Victor, the guy she met on the train, so she goes to him, dances with him, and leaves Hazel with Jack. Jack suggests to Hazel that they leave because the music is loud and annoying. They leave the club, talk, and sit down to get to know each other. Hazel asks him if he has a job, and Jack tells her he is currently unemployed, but has worked many random jobs. She tells him that she studied at university, and after finishing, she moved to New York City and worked as an accountant at a firm. Jack comments, saying they seem to clash in their lifestyle because she likes planning and commitment, and he likes improvisation and randomness. He thinks this difference between them might be the reason they connect. We notice here that Hazel is impressed by his spontaneity and personality as he talks. Then we see Hazel talking with her friend Connie, and behind them Jack with his friend Rafe. Connie talks to her. She tells her she likes Rafe and is going to spend the night with him, says goodbye, and leaves with him. So Jack walks with Hazel. They talk about their interest in novels and literature. Jack stops and points out the cable car to her and takes her with him. They force the door open and go out onto the cable car balcony while it's moving and look at the city view from the car. At that moment, Jack talks to her and tells her his grandfather used to write his diary and left it for him before he died, and that he made this trip specifically to visit all the places written in his grandfather's diary. This is the purpose of his trip. Hazel sees what he's doing as a nice thing because he's honoring his grandfather's memory and visiting the places he was in the past. A romantic moment happens between them. Jack looks at her, and the next day, they wake up together in the cable car as it moves from one place to another. The worker yells at them because they were in the car, so they quickly get off and run away from the workers. At the hotel, Amy talks to them, distraught, about how Victor, the guy she met on the train, stole her money and her necklace, and that when she woke up she couldn't find her passport either, nor any of the money she had with her. They want to go to the embassy and report it, but Jack asks her to show them where Victor's apartment is. Amy takes them to Victor's place. At the door, Victor denies stealing from her, but when they threaten to call the police, he admits he's worried. He tells them he'll go in and look for her things, but Jack jams the door before he closes it, and they force their way into the apartment, so Victor escapes through the window. Amy finds her things, and they also find extra money. Jack deduces that this money is probably stolen too. He sees they should take it as compensation, and they leave together, happy. With that money, they rent a convertible car and drive around in it, arriving at a seaside village. Hazel asks them to stop so she can take some silly pictures of them, but Jack pulls away from the photos and doesn't like being photographed. They move on after that, walk by the sea, rent a boat, have fun together, and go for a swim. Amy then tells them she's decided to tour Europe alone and meet another guy she got to know from another city. She's confident that this time she won't be deceived like what happened with Victor, and they say goodbye to her the next day. Connie leaves with Rafe in a taxi, and Jack asks Hazel to go with him and visit the next place in his grandfather's diary. She agrees, and they set off together. When they arrive at the place, Jack sees a group of tourists taking selfies and comments, saying they aren't living in the moment. He considers them hypocrites who care about appearances. Hazel doesn't understand why he's annoyed by the selfies, so he tells her the people who do that are shallow. Hazel takes his words personally because she does the same, and tells him he's judging people. She gets upset with him and walks away. Jack goes after her, apologizes, says he didn't mean it, and tells her their flight is in another hour. They shouldn't part ways angry and upset, so Hazel forgives him, and Jack then drives her to the airport. But he asks her not to leave and to stay with him, trying to convince her to change her plans and the duration of her vacation. Hazel is hesitant, but she agrees, and they leave together afterwards, going to the next place in his grandfather's diary. The next day, they continue together, and Jack tells her more about his ideas and beliefs about life. That night, they get intimate in the hotel room. The next day, they attend a bull running festival, and Jack suddenly decides to enter and run with the locals from the bulls. But a wall hits him, he falls, and they take him to the hospital because his arm is injured. Hazel comments on what he did, calling him reckless. But Jack doesn't care, and decides nothing will stop him from continuing his trip. After a few days, we see them moving from place to place according to his grandfather's diary, without planning anything or knowing where they'll go next. Hazel talks on the phone with her two friends, Connie and Amy. She updates them on the developments of her trip with Jack, saying she's enjoying it. Connie asks her what will happen between them after their trip ends. But Hazel doesn't know, and tells her she'll try to bring it up with Jack, so they can know the fate of their relationship. Later, on the bus, Hazel is asleep. Jack gets a call, so he gets up and sits in another seat to answer it. We hear him talking to his doctor. The doctor informs him that they need him to do another scan and schedules an appointment. Jack agrees. We don't understand why the doctor asked Jack to have the scan. But Jack goes back to sit next to Hazel, and he looks worried. Later, together in a restaurant, Hazel accidentally discovers a folded paper in the cover of the diary that Jack hadn't noticed. Jack reads the paper, which describes an island called Santapu. On this island, they hold a skull festival every year, and there they believe the skull confronts death. Neither Connie nor Jack know if this festival still happens, or if it ended long ago. Hazel keeps the diary paper in her bag. Later, as they walk, Hazel asks him if he plans to write a book in the future about his experience. Jack replies, saying he hasn't thought about doing that. He confirms to her that he doesn't like to think about the future. At that moment, Hazel asks him to have a serious talk. This is because she sees his lack of concern for the future as unserious. Hazel tells him he needs to know what he'll do in his future later on. But Jack replies, telling her that's his vision for the life he wants to live. He doesn't want to think about the future, he just wants to live in the moment. Hazel tells him she gets confused if she doesn't plan and know her next step, and she tells him she wants to know the fate of their relationship and what they'll do next. But Jack doesn't want to talk to her about this topic and avoids giving her a specific answer. This causes a disagreement between them, and they get upset with each other. But the following night, Jack returns to the hotel room and surprises her by saying he decided to travel with her to New York. Hazel is happy because that's what she wanted. The next day, they go to the airport to fly to New York City together. But Jack gets a call from the doctor, and the doctor informs him he must come to the clinic because the latest test results have come in. At that moment, hesitation appears on Jack's face. He asks Hazel if he can go to the bathroom and will be back before boarding, leaves her, and goes to the bathroom. He's delayed, so she sends him a message, but he doesn't reply. She keeps waiting until the flight takes off because the passengers have boarded. She goes to look for him in the bathroom, but he isn't there. She hears the final boarding call, calls him, but he doesn't answer. At that moment, she gets stressed, doesn't know what to do, talks to the staff member, and tries to explain that she can't find her friend. But the staff member tells her she must board the plane because there's no time, so Hazel is forced to board the plane hoping she'll find him on it. But she finds his seat empty, and she gets a message from Jack saying he's sorry. At that moment, Hazel realizes he abandoned her and left her, so sadness appears on her face, and she tears up. Then we go to New York City and see Hazel meeting her two friends, Connie and Amy, sitting with them, and telling them what Jack did to her. Amy thinks he's despicable and that he deceived her, and Connie agrees with her opinion, and they talk to her. They tell her she shouldn't think about him because he doesn't deserve her attention. Days later, Hazel goes to Texas to visit her family. Her family welcomes her at the house, happy to see her. Later, inside the house, Hazel talks to her father about her trip with Jack. She tells him she always felt at ease when she had a plan and knew what her future would be like. This is what she understood throughout her life. But when she was with Jack on the trip, moving from place to place without planning, she felt a different, new sensation. And she enjoyed it immensely. Her father replies, telling her the sensation she's talking about is the feeling of freedom. But this feeling, though enjoyable at first, doesn't last long. He wishes her to make the most comfortable decisions in her life. Because that's the most important thing. He leaves her and goes to sleep. Later, Hazel gets a message from her friend Connie. She tells her that Rafe proposed to her, and they plan to have the wedding soon. Hazel replies, saying she's happy and will definitely attend their wedding. We go to Connie and Rafe's wedding sometime later. The marriage ceremony takes place, they are happy. Afterwards, we see Hazel dancing with Rafe. She wants to know from him if Jack contacted him after he left her or not. Rafe looks at her and senses she really needs an answer to find peace. So he asks her to come with him, takes her to a room, and lets her know that Jack had left a letter with him and asked him to deliver it to her after months. Hazel takes the letter and thanks him for delivering it without waiting. She reads the message where Jack says he made a difficult decision when he left her at the airport. He was talking to her while watching her look for him. He tells her he is sick with a malignant tumor and had hidden it from her. He confirms to her that he spent the best time of his life with her, but he realized he was just running from the truth and that his death is inevitable. He doesn't have much time left in his life, and because his future wasn't certain, he was avoiding thinking about it. He tells her that his trip with her made him feel content, and that the shared memories that brought them together are the map that helped him know himself and die peacefully in his final days. After reading this letter, Hazel remembers the diary paper she had kept, so she looks for it in her bag and finds it. She reads the name of the island Santapu and searches for it on a map because she expects Jack will go there, and decides to travel there. She informs her two friends of her decision, leaves them, and we see her on a long journey until she reaches the island. Indeed, she finds the Skull Festival there, and while she's there hoping to see Jack, she spots him. Jack looks at her, surprised. She approaches him, and he asks how she found his location. She tells him she remembered his grandfather's diary. She had to have hoped that they would meet again. Jack tells her he can't offer her any future. Hazel tells him she doesn't want to think about anything except this moment with him, and tells him she loves him. Jack tells her he loves her too. They move closer to each other amidst the festival and the skulls, and the film ends.